let's take a look at this plugin by WA Productions called Outlaw. Outlaw is a gain riding plugin, and for those of you that are not entirely sure what that means, gain riders are essentially an automated fader that continually move up and down to balance the dynamics of a track. So you can see here we have this quiet vocal section. Normally what you would do before you start mixing is edit things and improve the levels and make things a bit more consistent. And you'd use features like clip gain if your DAW has that, or you would go ahead and actually draw in some automation data to increase the volume of certain words or passages and then decrease it for others. Trying to do this manually actually takes up a hell of a lot of time, so plugins like Outlaw make this whole process butter smooth and super quick. Let's go ahead and take a listen to Outlaw in action. Just to give you an idea, this is a track that's been sent to me to mix. There is currently no EQs, no compressors, no nothing on it. The only thing I've done is use this plugin here called Hornet to gain stage everything quickly, so it's at a rough target, and then there's a couple instances of Outlaw on various tracks, and on the master fader there's an instance of FabFilter Pro L just to protect us from clipping and also increase the volume a little bit for you guys so you can hear what is going on. So let's start by listening to one of the sections on vocals.
So different but still the same. Look at me, growing older but nothing changed. And I don't care. So different but still the same. And look at me, growing older but nothing's changed. And I don't care if everything falls apart, 'cause look at you. So different but still the same. Look at me, growing older but nothing's changed. And I don't care if everything falls apart. Don't care if everything falls apart, 'cause look at you.
So it's really helping the vocals out there be more consistent across both different parts. So let's have a little chat about the interface and then we'll do a couple more examples. Firstly, let's talk about the design. Again, very good by WA Productions, nice and clean, no nonsense, all the controls are where you expect to see them. The first control we have is called Mix, and this isn't one of those wet dry blend dials. What Mix does is allow you to control the intensity of which the gain riding is happening. So whatever settings you've got dialed in, you can either have them working 100% or you can ease it back a little bit so the effect isn't as aggressive. Next up we have Target, and Target allows us to set an RMS value or a loudness value at which Outlaw will try and match when riding the levels. And in the center of the plugin we have a nice visual representation to show if Outlaw is riding the level upwards or downwards. And it also indicates the attack and release. At the bottom here we have gate, and this is a very interesting dial. The more you increase the gate value, the more the Outlaw will ignore softer dynamics, thus leaving them as they are and not riding the level. So if you have a track where it's only like the odd couple of things that are jumping out in volume, you can essentially just set Outlaw up to target those things so you don't have to automate it in the DAW, which is really useful. At the bottom right here we have our output gain, so we can increase the output from the plugin or we can lower it if we wish. And then here we have a little triangle, and when you click this you'll get some additional features to play with. First of all, let's talk about the high pass and low pass filters. If you were to put Outlaw onto a loop, and let's say the loop's playing bass and it's also got a shaker going on in the loop, you could tell Outlaw to ignore the shaker by rolling off the high frequencies with the low pass filter, and then what it will do is it'll only listen to the lower frequencies and it'll go, okay, I'm going to ride the volume for those. We also have slope settings for the high pass and low pass, so we could have a gentle 6 dB slope or go all the way up to 48 dB slope. One of my favorite functions is the attack and release settings, so we can actually control the plugin similar to how a compressor works. So we have the attack value, which determines how quickly we can grab those peaks and how much we can let them through before we start riding the level. And then the release value determines how fast or how slow those volume rides are working. So we can have really smooth sounding or really fast and aggressive sounding gain rides. Here we have direction, which allows us to tell Outlaw how to ride the volume, if it's purely going to be riding the levels upwards to achieve a target, or if we're having it attenuating, so it's just going downwards, a lot like a compressor. And then we have two-way direction, so it'll be riding the volumes both up and down to achieve the target. And then we have the RMS box here, so we can choose between the different settings, which again is a welcome feature. Now we've had a run through the controls, let's take a listen to Outlaw on a kick track and snare track. Effectively, we're using this like a compressor with a slightly slower attack and faster release. So you don't have to just limit yourself to vocals with this kind of plugin, you can use it on many different sources. Let's try a snare. So what are my final thoughts on Outlaw Gain Rider by WA Productions? I've been using this for a week now, just over a week, and I have to say I much prefer it to Waves Vocal Rider or Melda Productions M Auto Volume. And in fact, this sits somewhere between the two, because Waves doesn't really give you all that flexibility with the settings where Outlaw does, so you can really dial things in. And with Melda Productions M Auto Volume, as good as a plugin it is, sometimes the interfaces and the controls are just a bit overbearing at times, so if you want to dial something in quickly, it's kind of not as quick of a workflow. So for me, I think these have nailed it, and they've got it right in the sweet spot in terms of flexibility and usability. So I'll leave a link in the description below for you guys to go check the plugin out, download the free trial of it. Pretty sure you're going to love using this one. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.